Our next speaker is Lauren from the Give People the Opal Project.
Hi. Thanks for letting me speak. I guess I want to start by saying I usually wear a t-shirt that says "Stop Forced Mental Health Treatment." And today I'm wearing a t-shirt that says "Careful or you will end up in my dissertation." Courtesy of my brother-in-law. I want to say that I'm going to say some pretty severe things that I think that I can fundamentally back up with solid research that's been going on for the last 2 centuries, and writings from both inmates of asylums in New York State from the 1850s, as well as the first Journal of Insanity, which is today's American Journal of Psychiatry, which cautioned people about creating an asylum system that replicated Europe. I want to say that in 1999, well, I've been doing this for 20 years, I'm a survivor of psychiatry. In 1999, I was the New York State Office of Mental Health's first children's recipient affairs specialist. And Olmstead was there at that point. And what Paige said is absolutely correct, and for 10 years and more, people have been begging that children's issues be dealt with on children's issues. This isn't what I was going to talk about today, but so you understand the long history and efforts that have gone. And like most people who work inside of a state-sponsored bureau, I was often silenced for what I said, and I got in a lot of trouble a lot of the time. And so to see people coming and standing to the way that they can, to say what they can, is important for this opportunity. And I want to specifically say that Commissioner Hogan has given me personally and the people that I work with more voice than we've had probably in the entire time that I've been doing this, short of when it first started in 1992 or something like that with the Youth Empowerment Association and Stage 2 Youth Empowerment. And youth power, that is really the evolvement of the youth movement. But what I came to say, so just understanding that, right? What I came to say is that the institution is only a small part of the problem, and what's happened over the last 50 years, and it will be 50 years in 2013, that the Community Mental Health Services Act was signed by Kennedy, and there's become an institutionalized community. And the psychological environment, I agree, the buildings, environmental psychology is what my dissertation is in, and the buildings matter, but they don't matter that much. There's a psychological environment that seeps out and covers everything that's happening, and there's an institutionalized community that's happening and that's being created in New York State. 96% of the people, it's estimated, who are in psychiatric state-operated facilities are survivors of abuse. If you wipe out abuse, if collectively New York State starts to work toward ending child abuse, you will end and resolve so many of the problems that exist today. It's finally in the media, it's finally being discussed about. This is a perfect opportunity to seize the moment and make a New York State campaign to end child abuse, which 10 years ago, 12 years ago, the Office of Mental Health would not take responsibility for. And what winds up happening in the institutionalized community as well as the institution is what Goffman called contaminative exposure: electroshock, restraint, seclusion, forced drugging. Contaminative exposure is the tool that allows for psychological mortification or the killing of a person, spirit, creating a mental patient. In order to break from mental patient role, people need to be turned on to a power movement and have the power inside of them awakened, whatever that power movement is, some kind of power. The institutionalized assisted outpatient treatment, Kendra's Law, involuntary outpatient commitment, health homes are going to be the tools to create the institutionalized community. As it stands right now, According to the Duke study, African Americans are 3 to 8 times more likely to be court-ordered into psychiatric services than whites, 5 times more likely statewide. There aren't really very many AOT programs in Chautauqua. We need to do something drastic to change the way it is, and the base of it is New York State, please take a lead on creating a true human rights framework in everything you're doing. We have to demand human rights because what's happening is state-sponsored torture, state-sponsored in the name of electroshock, restraint, seclusion, forced drugging. The United Nations Special Rapporteur has cited these things that they may constitute torture or ill treatment. You must listen, New York State. Slavery, creating jobs for people, to force people into a program where they can't go get their own job. Murder, a known 25 to 30-year loss of life for people on psychiatric drugs. Esmond Green, and the countless others. Esmond Green, it was caught on video. It's the only reason we know. Tiddly's Follies, it goes back forever. And so I plead with you to put on the agenda that not all, but according to OMH's own statistics, only 80% of people have good outcomes, satisfaction. 20% of the people don't. And I guarantee you that that's the 20% that feel as they've been tortured, abused, misunderstood, misheard, mismedicated, drugged, and who can't speak because they're afraid to, who can't speak because they're locked up, and who can't speak because they're dead. I have in my medical records from when I was locked up at South Beach Psychiatric Center when I was 15 years old, that I should, at the time that I was 18, that I should not go to college, and that I should go to program, and that I should be compliant. If I did not by chance literally stumble over the mental patients liberation movement, I would be, you guys got it all wrong. And so instead I plan to defend my dissertation in March and have a PhD in psychology, which I don't particularly want, but I've learned a lot. And there really is a ton of evidence as to why we need to go about doing things differently and move the system in a way that it's not been moved in 2 centuries. Remember, the asylum system, Utica State Lunatic Asylum, Mohawk Valley Psychiatric Center, its aim was to be restraint-free. Its aim was to treat people with dignity and respect. And they warned in 1838, I think, or something like that, in the very first Journal of Insanity. Don't replicate what they did in Europe. And we can use Olmstead, but beyond Olmstead, New York State must end state-sponsored torture, murder, and slavery. Thanks.
Thank you, Lauren. Congratulations on your PhD.
Thanks, not yet. Got to defend still. Close though.